Hey there, studio owner. Before we jump in, I have to tell you about my book, Studio Staffing Success. It has finally been published. It's for the studio owner who wants less staffing chaos and more follow through from their team. Grab it on Amazon, Studio Staffing Success by Ginger Haithcox. Hello, welcome back to Dance Studio Owner Life Coaching. Today, I want to talk to you about building your leadership team. Now, you might already have a leadership team, or you might be in the position of saying, I'm not anywhere near ready to start with that. No matter where you are, I thought this episode would be helpful to share some tips and lessons learned from having a leadership team within my studio and things that I would say are beneficial, useful, and all of that. So, the first thing I want to say about building a leadership team is this is something to think about at any stage in business, whether you're ready to hire middle managers or not. This is something to think about because as your company grows, you're going to need the support to help it grow. When you have a team of people that are helping support the studio and they are either supervising people or process or both, it allows you to grow your business sustainably. I know so often we are so concerned about money that the last thing we want to do is spend it on hiring someone who's not necessarily teaching more classes or who's not directly making money for the business. And that mindset could use a shift. The reason I say that is because you are more likely to burn out when you are trying to do everything all yourself. You are more likely to struggle to grow when you can't keep on top of all these different moving parts within your business. Some of you want to focus in the classroom, some of you want to focus with administrative, some of you want to do both, but either way, it's going to help you to have a leadership team. This is something I think makes sense for you to start establishing when you're at the 5 to 10 employee mark. At that point, you have not only your own work to do, you also have people to supervise and ensure that they are getting their work done. As the number of people grows that you are supervising and supporting, training, and all of that, as that number grows, your workload grows as well. There will come a point when you're not working optimally, where things are not efficient, where everybody and everything has to come to you for final approval, no matter how big or small. So, when you get to the point that you're ready for a leadership team, what are some things that make sense? I'm going to tell you what I do. What works for me may or may not work for you, but this is a good starting point. I like to think of it as a way to spread responsibility and reallocate resources. Spreading out responsibility includes not just the person that does the task, but the person that's responsible for remembering to do the task, for calendaring the task, for pulling in support if is needed for the task, for purchasing the supplies to complete the task. As you can see, there's so much more to having leaders within your business than just saying, here's the to-do list and go on your merry way. It's about creating people who are small business owners of sorts within your own business. So they oversee an area and they're fully responsible for it. They don't just go to the competitions in your place and still look to you to do everything else. They're responsible perhaps for registering for the competitions, handling customer questions, newsletters, payments, costumes, the whole thing. They're responsible for people or a process. So in that example, that's a competition person who might be overseeing all things to do with the competition. You might have an office manager who is the person who's coordinating all customer service and communications and messaging for your studio. That also includes ordering supplies, making sure that the office is stocked, making sure all the connections with the vendors and the cleaning staff and contractors, all of that is done well, ensuring that they set up the appointments for the fire marshal and all the inspections. All those things would fall under that one area. It's broader than just giving someone tasks. So within my studio, I have a dance company artistic director. This person oversees our intensive program, all 3 levels, oversees their curriculum, the staff, planning their performances, costuming performances, all of that. That also includes events, fundraising, communication with parents, tracking the money that's been paid. This is a way to get this off my plate and ensure it's done well, because now there's somebody who's dedicated to one of the most important elements of the studio. Having someone overseeing the students' growth within this intensive program lets me know that the children are being taken care of and things just don't fall through the cracks. The next person on my team is someone who oversees all of our performances in terms of stage management, making things run smoothly, and they're the summer camp director for all of our summer events. This person works year round with things such as marketing. They help create the camp brochure. They help design the programming, choosing and hiring the staff who are working in the summer, overseeing the budget for the summer, the purchasing of all the camp supplies. They do all the communication with the parents, all of the signage, activities, special events, all of that. And that's also for the performances. Now, the other person that I have is my manager of student development. This is a really neat position because this person oversees my ambassador program, which, if you're not familiar with, I call my student helpers ambassadors, and they have different tiers that they can work through the program. This person oversees that program, handles their training, their quarterly reviews, placement, all of their refreshers information, parties for the holidays, gifts. That's the job of the manager of student development. In addition, this person handles the promotion of going to conventions, special workshops, conferences. They also handle all of the student promotions when they're moving from one level of ballet to the next, for example. So all of the ways that students are developed and grow on a pathway within either dance or art in my studio, this person oversees that. They also, as part of this, help support the teachers. They support the teachers with classroom management, tips and tricks. They observe and support teachers with what do they need in terms of supplies. She has access to make purchases in our Amazon business account. So this person is very important to our organization. She's taking care of things that are essential for the business and things that I didn't have to do. I know that it's important and it needed to be done, but I didn't have to be the one doing it. So she takes care of that. And then lastly, I have my director of operations. This person oversees all of the customer service, the inboxes for every single email address, phone, text message, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. She oversees all of that. Also, all of the team members who work the front desk, this person oversees them, creates their training, supports them, appreciates them, ensures that financial controls are in place. She reconciles all of the income of the business into QuickBooks for me. She also handles all the petty cash, making sure that that is reconciled and that money does not disappear within the organization. She handles all of the communication in terms of text messages and emails that are pre-scheduled for the season, and ensuring that parents and their billing, all of that is taken care of very well. I find that my leadership team has made my business not only run more smoothly, but improve and speed up customer service. It also creates an opportunity for us to say, oh, you have a concern about this. I can have you go to the appropriate manager. When I had this full team in place, now this took time. I started with just that director of operations and then slowly added the manager of student development. And then as we grew and developed our dance company, we added the artistic director. And then again, as we grew, we had someone who does camp and performances. When I have these people in place, now I can do something else that's really awesome. And that's having a manager who's on duty for each day that we are open. So, for example, when I first started my studio, it was myself and the person who later became the director of operations. She and I were the only two people who were at the studio all operating days. It was always us, always, always. And that was fine. We were young. We were in our 20s, early 30s, and weren't married yet, didn't have kids, and we were able to do that. As time went on, we got married, had families, other responsibilities, full-time jobs. All those things started kicking in, and we found that not only did we need to have some other people available, but in order to teach and grow the company and have more nights a week, we needed to hire and have other teachers on board. Being able to spread out the responsibility of who is that manager in charge to make a final call if there's an emergency, to handle a difficult situation with customer service. Having now a group of 5 of us to cover being open 6 days a week is a lot easier. It's not dependent on me to be there every single operational day. I can be there if I want to, or if I really felt like this is a special time of year or something unique happened and I need to be there for this particular week. But having a regular, this is the manager on duty, lets my other staff know this is who is here to support us if anything arises. It also helps to have a backup for the front desk, a manager to escalate issues to. So my front desk team, they handle all of the frontline inquiries, questions, complaints, whatever you might have that come in, phone calls and people coming in or whatever. If they need support, instead of having to come to me as the director of the studio, they can go to the manager on duty, talk it out with them. They are authorized to make a decision, handle it right then and there, and then they tell me about it the next day. I don't have to be involved in every situation because I've developed and trained this team. The other thing that's really helpful to me is that all the dance teachers do not come to me directly for support in the classroom. While I'm happy to talk to people and share all my knowledge and information, I can't always do that. I have other things that I need to take care of. Having a team in place, having this manager of student development be their go-to person who is present at the studio more often than I am, who is also as knowledgeable as I am, has as much experience as I do, is invaluable. They love to come to this person with their questions, for support, to ask, hey, what's going on with this student? Having that person in place frees up my time, my extra time when I'm not teaching or not, doing finance or marketing. And it makes my life easier. It also empowers the team to feel like they have someone to go to, because let's be honest, not everyone feels completely comfortable going to the quote unquote, the big boss, right? There are things that they might tell my manager of student development that they're a little nervous to talk to me about yet. And that's okay. I appreciate that they have someone right there in the trenches with them who can help them through whatever it is that they're going through. When you're at that 5 to 10 employee mark and you're building out your leadership team, I encourage you to think about your studio in large areas, large sections, right? What are some large areas or categories that you can roll up your different operations into so that you can get a clear idea of maybe where you would start? And handled administrative things And as we grew to the team we have now, where there's 3 people who could be at the front desk doing customer service and another 4 or 5 who could back them up if they're not there, it's really been helpful to have a singular person coordinating, having a singular person who's reviewing logs of emails and text messages and interactions with customers. And hey, you did a great job when you did this with this customer. Hey, when you did this, remember to do XYZ. She's also responsible in that area for their training, not only for the new people, but for existing veteran staff who have changes or updates, whether it's software or processes. All the members of my leadership team are responsible for also creating standard operating procedures. They have to document those things. They have to store them in our shared drive, because if there's something that we're going to do again and again and again, and it's on repeat, it is so important to write it down and share it. Each of my leadership team members, in addition to having to do standard operating procedures or SOPs, they also have to start to build a succession plan within what they're doing. So, for example, the manager of student development, she has a junior staff member who she is slowly teaching the ropes. If she ever decides to step down or relocate or something like that, we already have somebody else trained who can step in. And whether or not that person takes over or they're just the interim person, having other people who can do the same thing is so invaluable to your business for continuity's sake. Likewise, the director of operations has been teaching certain processes, what reports to run, different things like that, bringing that in to some of the specialists so that they can know what to do if she's ever absent. What can they do? How do they handle certain things, right? It is not only helpful, but I think necessary for people who want to sustainably grow their studio to have a succession plan, so that not only if you step down, but if anyone on your team steps down, that you're prepared for continuing things on, and that processes don't leave when someone leaves. Your business will become an entity in its own self. It will have its own processes, procedures, documents. All these things will live on, and it's not about the person anymore. It's about a sustainable business. Having a succession plan will get you to where you want to go faster and keep things thriving. Friends, I really thought it was a good time to talk about this because I know so many of you are working on preparing for the busy season, whether it's competitions or preparing for recital. One of the things that can really help is to take this look at your team and how you're going to shape things in the future. If you already have a leadership team in place, now is a great time to give everyone a copy of their position description and just have them review it. Make sure that everything that's in there reflects what they're actually responsible for. Make sure that if there's things that you expect them to do that are not in the position description, that you do put them in there. And then once a year, I like to lay out all the position descriptions for all of my leadership team. I like to lay out my responsibilities as well. And then side by side, compare that to what the studio actually needs, because there could be gaps. I found that back in 2018, we had some gaps that we needed to get done, but nobody was actually responsible for certain things. So if someone remembered, it might happen. Sometimes we'd forget or we'd do it later than we normally do. It can really, really help to take stock of what you have in terms of position descriptions, responsibilities, expectations, and compare it to what your business needs. When you do this exercise, you might learn a whole bunch. You might learn a little bit, but either way, it's completely worth it. If you do not yet have a leadership team and you want to talk to me about it, I'm happy to hop on a Zoom call with you. You can visit my website, gingerhaithcox.com/coaching. Fill out the form there and we will set up a great time to get together. Until next time, I wish you the best.